Hi everyone, good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you. Let's see. So first I will start by asking whether you had a chance to see the videos and whether you have any questions. Um, if you don't have any question, would you like me to quickly go through the PPTs or any specific PPT and corresponding to video recording? For example, this week you have the videos for BMS, a very brief one on TMS, and something on recycling, and on the cost estimation using a software called Backpack or the Excel file called Backpack. And earlier, of course, you would have got the videos on the manufacturing process, on measurements, how we measure, what it means, etc. What the parameters or what the words mean, etc. You will probably have a separate, large, not large, meaning lengthy, separate videos on the TMS and some part of the electronics. I think some modules you might have seen earlier, some may be coming in the future, but you can still get an overall view from the electrochemist point of view, how we look at it, that you can get from these videos. Everybody seems to be very quiet. Is everything okay? Or maybe you didn't have a chance to go through the videos, or I mean, can maybe I'll ask one by one. EV10, EV12. Do you have any question, comments, or anything that you would like me to show here or explain?
Yes, sir. Not gone through the videos last week.
Okay.
I was outside at supplier and today morning only came.
Okay. I mean, if you, it's all right. You can anyway ask in the forum later, right? That's always there. But it's all right. Thank you. EV14, Hussein, and EV16.
Sir, hi, good morning, sir.
Good
Sir,
morning.
I'm not able to go through the videos.
Go to the
due to
videos
some
yet.
release activities.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand because pretty much everybody is working and we have deadlines that gets priority. Fair enough.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. EV 17 and 19.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Even I wasn't able to go through the
Perfect.
videos.
Okay, thank you. 20, 21, 24. Anyone there? EV 5, 6. Or 8, 9, 13. All right, doesn't matter. So maybe I'll just talk for a few minutes and then I will hold. In this week you have details on recycling, and these videos were recorded about 3 years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and yes, somebody has admitted a guest. Okay, it's all right. Okay, so one part is about recycling, another is about development in this new battery size. So in recycling, we have issue with the raw material availability. That lithium, cobalt, nickel, these are not available everywhere, and in many of the places there is a concern that China is holding the mines, meaning holding the rights to the mines, and therefore they control the supply chain. So if you recycle the batteries, then you can reuse those materials, and in that, couple of companies in US, of course, there are many companies in China which do this. Couple of companies in US, one is called Redwood Materials, another is called American Battery, I think ABTC, some corporation, American Battery Technology Corporation or something like that. They have now fairly large-scale recycling program. That means they're taking probably thousands of tons of old batteries and recycling every year. So that means it's possible to do it. They do by a technique called hydrometallurgy. Basically, that means dissolving separating the battery, old battery, removing them, separating the cathode, anode, etc., and then dissolving it in different solvents and processing it. And they seem to be successful. Not everybody does it. You need to do R&D to figure out which chemical to use, what temperature, which sequence of chemicals to use, etc. But it appears to be a good way, good insurance. That is, tomorrow if somebody says the raw material cost is going to be higher because I control the mines, then recycling will be competitive, but you can't develop that in a day. You have to develop that process, even if it is not very cost effective today. If it's slightly costlier than buying the raw material from outside, not the raw material, buying the lithium or cobalt or the LCO or NMC cathode outside. But we can't start developing when the material availability becomes a problem. We have to prepare beforehand. But the point here I wanted to make is that it seems to be economical if you develop the process. The process details are not open in the literature or the actual process details. General process details you'll get in literature, but it's possible to do. This is one. Second is, there are different cells, right? The cells are, for example, cylindrical cells are called 18650, 21700, based on the diameter and the height. And then there are, of course, rectangular ones like the BLD and others. BLD is, of course, an exceptional case, but generally other prismatic and pouch cells. And some time ago, Tesla was trying to develop a very large cylindrical cell. It's called 4680. It should be 46800, but it's called 4680. So it's fairly big. And they had some production issue, but I think now they have resolved it and they are producing that in bulk, and Panasonic and few other companies are also producing it and using it in some of the cars. So that is another development that's not covered in the video, existing videos. Okay. So with this comment, I will pause now. You have questions, I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I'll be here for some time. And if there are no questions for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, then I will log off. Does it sound okay?
Yes, sir. Actually, I have one question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Voice is not very clear. Let me see if I can adjust something here. Okay, go ahead, please.
You can able to hear me, right?
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So this question regarding the recycling.
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of the fresh RM and the recycled material,
Yeah.
Okay, the purity level will be different. What is
that depends on the extent of recycling, how you recycle. Okay.
okay? Normally they are doing now black mass, and after that they are extracting the chemicals, right? From
Yeah,
the
you can see the pure materials that are coming now, which are now, let's say normally if we don't recycle, okay, we are getting lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt, all those things from ores separately. So they are taken, purified, they're taken, extracted, reduced, purified, and then compounds are formed at different purity levels. If you, and that is done by generally by different places. Lithium extraction will be in one place, nickel will be in another place, etc. It's taken from the ore, burnt with carbon. Many of them will use carbon to burn it, coke to burn it. So that is called pyrometallurgy. If we take the old battery, it already has NMC or LCO, etc. If I process it using chemicals, I will be able to get enough purity. But if I don't optimize the process, I have to spend a lot of money. The process sequence is not optimized. I'll end up spending a lot of money. That means it won't be very economical. But if you spend money in R&D, time and effort in R&D, you can come with an optimal process where you will get the purity. See, anywhere it can get the purity. You can get the purity in any process, or not one process, sequence of processes. But if you want to reduce the cost, you will take it when it is not very pure. Somebody might be doing it here locally, I do not know. But you can get higher purity even in recycling. It's just that whether they have an optimal process or whether they are willing to spend more money. Does it answer the question?
Yeah.
Hello, sir. This is Sagar.
Hey, go ahead, please.
You have mentioned in one of your videos that the ideal temperature range for batteries, which works well, is in between 15 to 35 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
What if the temperature range for specific regions is out of this range? Will
Okay.
there be any effect on charging, discharging?
Degradation will be
Yes.
more. Okay.
Okay.
So when it's more than 35, see, when you go to very high temperature, it degrades because all the reactions, the bad reactions meaning more of SEA formation, etc. They also happen faster. The good reactions are also faster. So actually, you will get little higher voltage at higher temperature in each cell. But beyond 35, meaning 40, 45, etc. 45 is actually going to be very bad, but it will degrade more, but it won't cause fire on because of that. You can charge and discharge, it's not a problem. Below 15, what happens is, below 15, I would say below 15 is not a problem. 15 is a good number, but if you go to 10, it will still work, but charging should be slow, charging should not be fast. If you try to charge fast, then dendrite will form and it is possible short circuit will happen. So you have to charge slowly, and if it goes below 0, you shouldn't charge at all. So it will vary a little bit with the separator thickness, all those things. But I would say 10 degrees okay. Below 10 degrees, it's not a good thing. 5 degrees okay if you're charging slowly. It's generally not a good idea, which means it's not very good for very cold places unless you have a built-in circuit to warm it up.
Okay.
So if you're designing something for use in India, most of them will be, there is a cost concern. Anyway, the EV is costlier than ICE vehicles. And if you increase the components more, cost will be higher. If you're ready to do that, then it's not a problem.
So is it based on the regions where we are using the EVs? We should have additional circuits?
Yes. Or at the minimum, the BMS should sense the temperature and say, I cannot charge because the temperature is below 5 or something to that effect. Right? If you buy a EV here and then take it to, I'll make up and say Leh in Ladakh.
Yes.
Right? And then temperature is low. If the BMS is not designed well, you start charging, you're going to get fire sooner or later. It's not designed for that. The electric vehicles are not really, as of today, the vehicles are not really designed for good hill climbing. Basically, because there is a single gear. There is no, you don't have the normal manual gear, or I shouldn't say manual, multiple gear.
Yes.
So although electric motor generates good torque, because there is only a single gear, it's like always you are in the third gear.
Mm-hmm.
In a normal vehicle with 5 gears, if you're always in third gear, then it works okay on plains. It's not very good for hills. So that is even if the temperature is normal. So as of now, of course, if I look at it mainly as India, a large fraction of the market lies in the region where the temperature doesn't go below 10. So it is all right. But if you focus on the regions where the temperature does go below 10, the normal EV is not going to be suitable for them.
Okay.
And similarly, it's not very good for very hilly areas. It will struggle to climb up.
Okay.
Which means the range will also come down.
And in the regions where the temperature is more than 45,
it's not that good, but there are not too many regions like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is not that good. It's not good to even if you don't drive, just keeping the battery more than 45 is not good for the battery. Okay. So that way, see, in the beginning, when you superficially look, everybody feels that we can go to EV and switch away from the ICE vehicle, and that looks good in the top level. But when you go into the detail, there are still things that are not as easy as with ICE vehicles. So in restricted domain, region, temperature, and non-hill area, which happens to be okay for India in a fairly large fraction, it works. But if you really have to work in hilly area, you need to have gears, multiple gears. If you really have to work in low temperature or high temperature, you need to have sophisticated thermal management system, which will add to the cost. See, even, for example, diesel vehicles will struggle to start in very, very cold region. Maybe not 0, but maybe not 10 degree, but very, very cold region. Then you will have an engine heater block, which will heat the thing using electricity, normal batteries. Not normal batteries, there's some specialized batteries. So it's possible to handle those, but cost will go up.
Okay. So you also mentioned temperature management system in
Thermal
the
management
video.
system. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
thermal management
No
system.
problem.
So is that handled by a battery management system, or it's a different unit?
No, it's a separate unit.
Okay.
It's a separate unit. So, for example, for most of the two-wheelers, small size two-wheelers, EV, just the airflow, natural airflow is used because it's a small battery with moderate power, so it doesn't really need that much cooling. And this is also meant for, I would say, normal plains India operation. So it's not going to be a big problem. For cars, you will have forced cooling, meaning fluid has to circulate. That is true even in ICE vehicle, right? Most of the scooters, bikes, normal sized scooters and bikes will have air cooling and with fins. Car will have the radiator with the fluid flowing through that. So like that here, this is done. But in terms of handling very, very wide temperature range, I don't know if it is, we have to look into the specs, but I don't think the most of the vehicles, EVs in the market today in India are geared for very wide temperature range. They'll probably work between 5 degree to 40 degree, 40 meaning it will work at 45, but it's just not good for the battery. If you're cooling it actively and making sure temperature is below 40, it will be okay. Below 35 will be better.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other question?
Hello, sir. I have one question.
Sure.
How regenerative braking affects BMS?
See, not affects BMS, how the BMS has to be designed to handle the regenerative braking. If it's a full EV, basically when you apply regenerative, when you apply brake, a lot of energy is generated in a short time. Means, I won't say a lot of energy, medium size energy, but in a very short time. Because you're braking hard, vehicle is moving with some momentum and it's coming down. So large power comes. Okay, so now what happens is if you have a normal EV, you also have a large battery. So that power has to be given to the battery. You know what is a C rate, right? The current. The C rate will be moderate if you have a very large battery. You're generating some amps. If the ampere hour of the battery is large, then the C rate will be current divided by the capacity. So I think for a normal EV, BMS will limit the amount of current that can go through, maximum current that it can go through. So if it exceeds that, the current is wasted. It will go through resistors and it will get out as heat. Otherwise, it will just come into the cell. Usually the problem comes in plug-in vehicles. I don't think there are many commercial plug-in vehicles in India, not at the economy level or at the even small luxury level. You'll have to go to probably very high end car to get there. In the plug-in vehicle, basically you have a battery and you also have a petrol or diesel tank. So if I take two vehicles, one is pure EV, it will have certain weight. If I take a plug-in vehicle with similar capacity, it will also have similar weight. But it will have an engine of certain size and a small battery in the plug-in vehicle. When we take these two cars moving at some speed, 50 or 60 kilometers per hour, and then coming to a stop by braking or slowing down by braking, same amount of energy is generated in the same time. So that means same power is generated. In EV, the power is given to a large battery. In a plug-in vehicle, the power is given to a small battery. That means the charging C rate is very high. So in a plug-in vehicle, unless the cells that are used have a high charging capability, it will not be easy to give all the power into the cells. That means you'll have to waste some of the power. You can't regenerate you can't use all the energy during the regenerative braking. The BMS is designed based on what is coming in the power and what is the capacity of the cell. Capacity, I shouldn't say capacity. What is the C rate of the charging of the cell? If the cells have a moderate C rate, then BMS should not allow that to charge fast, right? So you have to use very high charging rate capability cells in the plug-in vehicle. In the EV, anyway, we want fast charging because user want fast charging. Okay, that is there. But you can moderate it and say that, limit it and say this is the maximum limit, etc. So regenerative braking is little easier to handle in EV, little harder to handle in plug-in vehicle, and how much you handle depends on the charging C rate of the batteries used in that. So it depends on the battery pack design. Is that answering your question, or is it going too far away?
Yeah, sir, somewhat understand.
What aspect should I address?
Like, sir, one more question. Like, battery pack is there, na? So how how that will affect like charge like this one regenerative braking when it's happening? Because if any battery cells fails, then how will understand that things?
No. Cells shouldn't fail. See, basically, if it's designed correctly, regenerative braking is giving you. It's like you're plugging in the car for a short time in a fast charger. That's how it works. You have a battery pack, you have a BMS, you go to station and you can use fast charger. You can also use normal charger at home, which will give it a slower rate, correct? This is normally how we visualize charging. During regenerative braking, it can generate a lot of power. But BMS will limit how much power will go in here. And what is the limit? That depends on what is the pack design. If the pack is designed for taking large amount of charge, then the BMS will allow large amount of power to go through. If the pack is not designed for that, it will not allow it to go through. So if you want to think about optimization of the design, you have to say what is the maximum charging rate or power at the fast charging. And if the regenerative braking gives you higher power, then one possibility is to add one more feature to the battery pack. It's called supercapacitor. They can take in large amount of charge fast, but not large amount. They can be charged very fast, high, but the energy storage is limited. They can't store a lot of energy. So short amount of time, some energy comes, you can put some into the battery using the BMS. The remaining can be used to charge the supercapacitor, which will subsequently give this charge through the BMS to the battery pack. Does it make sense? Maybe I should just draw it here and show you. Is it visible or not yet? I think it's not visible yet. Okay, screen. So when you're charging, it'll go through the BMS. It'll probably go through the control electronics, go through the BMS. BMS here is only handling the battery. Of course, you can integrate this electronics and design the BMS if you are an OEM. That's a separate issue. But if you're buying the BMS and integrating it, BMS comes here. If a large amount of charge comes through the regenerative braking, then excess charge will be used to charge here. Whatever is allowed through the BMS will go to charge the battery. That means when you're traveling in time, amount of braking, amount of energy generated in braking is like this, but the battery pack can be used to charge only this level. So the remaining will be used to charge separately supercapacitor, which will then, once the braking is stopped and no more power comes from the regenerative braking, the supercapacitor will drain the charge through the BMS into the battery. So that next time when you do the regenerative braking, supercapacitor can absorb the excess energy. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
So this will be a design. Of course, all of this means higher cost, more weight. Supercapacitor is not that heavy, but it will occupy volume. So depends on. So if you see, for example, you have a Tesla which has a very high performance, right? But cost is very, very high. The performance is actually very good. On the other hand, the EVs that are sold in the market here, for similar priced ICE vehicle, you'll get a okayish performance from the EV, which is fine. Even Tesla is costly. But very few cars here, you can say, are superior to the ICE vehicle. Whereas Tesla, you can say, is superior to ICE vehicle in some ways. Cost is very, very high because the market is there. They can afford to. There are a lot of people who are willing to pay that much money and get the Tesla. Here it's probably more cost sensitive. But there are solutions. It just costs more money. Just like temperature, you can have solution which will handle. So for example, people use EV in the North America when there is cold region, they will handle it because the BMS and the TMS will be designed for that. Here, if you do the same, the cost will be high. So maybe when it's really required and people are willing to pay, that will happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. But technically, is it possible? Yes, it's possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
Sir, one more question from my side.
Yes.
Regarding balancing the cells, which method is widely used? Is it passive or active balancing?
Honestly, I don't know, but I would say now active balancing should be a little easier. You can get, earlier there are a few chips which are available for active balancing and many more chips available with passive balancing. Okay. Now, at least for small packs, I can easily see many boards or many balancers that come which are active balancing. Of course, they are costlier, but I would say I don't know what's being used today in the cars in India. Okay. But if I'm going to start a company now, I'll definitely go for active balancing. Cost will be a little higher, but I don't have to worry about heat that is generated, wasted, energy that is wasted, and then the load on the thermal balancing system, thermal management system. Right? Whenever I use passive balancing, there is a load on the TMS. So effectively, what that means is I have to put a little bigger thermal management system to handle this. That will go away when I use active balancing. Active balancing also will generate a little bit of heat, but comparatively it will be less. First 2-3 years, you won't see much because there won't be much need for balancing. The cells will degrade. Cells will be at similar capacity and they will degrade slowly. Only in the later years, when the cells have different capacities because they are degraded to different extent, the balancing shows its face, how good or how bad it is. But the answer to your question, what's being done today, I do not know.
In the videos, you have mentioned different SOCs for cells, like 90%, then 70, 60, something like that, three
Yes,
cells.
yes.
So is it possible to have such type of difference in
No,
SOC?
that is just to explain
As
the
an example.
concept. That's just to explain the concept easily.
Oh, okay.
Okay, if you have that much difference, it's not in the first 5 years. You shouldn't have that.
Okay.
Okay, if the thermal management system is good, that means that cells will face similar temperature, right?
Yes.
Thermal management system is good, then it shouldn't degrade at that much differently. There'll be variability, but not 90, 70, and 50 like that.
Okay.
So if you do it well, that's why people are able to give, for example, slow degradation and balanced one, the people are able to give nearly 8 years warranty.
Okay.
Okay, they also won't charge it to the topmost level. They will say it's 100% when, let's say, we reach 4 volt instead of 4.1 or 4.2 in an NMC cell. That's when the degradation is slow. When degradation is slow, that variation will also be slow, less. Much longer time it will be there. Say after 8 years, the warranty says 70%. Warranty is for 70% usually. Meaning initially, if your range is 500 kilometers, after 8 years, the range is guaranteed to be 70% of the 500 kilometers. That is 350 kilometers. Beyond that, anyway, I think people will accept little more variation, and if they have to replace the battery, they might be reluctant, but they will accept it. If it runs for 8 years, after that, people are okay if the value of the car goes down significantly. Even a normal ICE vehicle, the value would have gone down a lot, even though it can have another 8 years of life.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, you are not audible, I think.
Can we close this call if there are no questions?
I think Professor left.
Yes, we can close, I think.
Okay, thank you then.